We must be on the ground 24/7, 365. There are no breaks.
How common is it that you find people who are incredibly passionate about the issues but are not registered to vote?
I don't think people understand. They just think that you can post something on X or social media and that people are going to act. No.
You meet people everywhere. What do people care about actually?
The American people are still hurting economically. They're hurting financially. My number one issue is illegal immigration.
So people are telling you that it's just not worth their time to go out and vote?
To a lot of people, myself included, this was a literally win or die election.
Scott, I've been looking forward to this for a very long time because I've been watching you, and I know we've been trying to set up a time, but I actually think that it was meant to be, that we finally meet and we chat today. For those who don't know about this very significant work you've been doing for our country, tell us a little bit about your organization and your background.
Thank you. A little bit of a background. Son of a retired Navy captain, Eagle Scout, and I never thought I'd be in politics. I was inspired by none other than President Obama. And I thought, you're part of the problem if you're not the solution. So in 2014, I moved to Texas, helped elect Governor Greg Abbott, and I've actually been doing this work of voter registration and traveling the country for about 12 years now. My organization is Early Vote Action, and I was inspired because of the debacle of 2022. Should have been a red wave, right? Mm-hmm. You had everything going wrong in the country under Joe Biden, and yet we lost Arizona. The machines went down on election day. It snowed in Nevada. They ran out of paper ballots in Pennsylvania. And I went, guys, we're going to re-elect Joe Biden unless we change the way that we vote. And that was when Early Vote Action was born in January of 2023. And so, as many people might know, we spent all of our time and talent going to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and ultimately Pennsylvania delivered, electing DJT as the 47th president.
Now, you're not from Pennsylvania. You're from Florida, right?
Yes, Florida man.
So you're a Florida man, born and raised here in Florida. We happen to be sitting in Florida today. And you just decided to go into politics? I mean, and into the belly of the beast of politics. How did that even happen? How did you have the foresight to know to do that?
I was kind of a product of my environment. And it's almost reminiscent of how some people are feeling now. And yes, I understand Republicans are in control and we still have a lot of work in order to undo what Joe Biden has done for the last 4 years. But think about me for a second. Here I was, a graduate of George Mason University, 3.63 honors criminal justice from a higher up school in Northern Virginia, well-to-do. And I couldn't find a job in 2010. So here I am, a dog walker. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Mm-hmm. Being working class and having any job is a good thing in society. And I'm working at an elementary school. Shout out to William Ramsey Elementary. And I go, okay, this is a job, but this isn't a career. I see a lot of people who are getting careers in their field and they're pursuing their dreams. And President Obama got reelected in 2012. And that really was my wake-up call. And I went, you're only a voter, Scott. How are you going to make a difference besides just being a voter? Where are you knocking on doors? Where are you registering voters? Where are you getting out the vote? And I said, okay, here I am. I want to be the solution. Mm-hmm. And famously, I always wear my cowboy boots because Texas was where I landed, and I moved my life halfway across the country because I wanted to be the change I wanted to see.
How did you get so passionate about politics? Was there a particular issue? I mean, you mentioned the joblessness for young men, or the lack of vision for career. Is that what got you to want to activate?
My number one single issue that I care about is illegal immigration and securing the border. And so when I studied criminal justice, I wanted to be a cop. And actually, here's the ironic thing that a lot of people don't know about is before I landed in Texas, get this, I was applying, there's record of this out there. I was applying to be a Border Patrol agent. And I even took the test. I did well on the written test. And I was doing my PT and I was going into polygraph. And so one way or another, I was going to Texas. But it's still on my heart to secure the border, protect the American people. And I wanted life as service. I'm just serving in a very different way right now.
Do you think that's typical for a man your age to be focused on the border and border security, or were you an anomaly in college?
At the time, well, you have to revisit what was it like in 2008. So this was after George Bush. We're not going to go into all of that. And we're not going to go into the Iraq war and everything, but let's just say that America was not happy and they were seeking change. Well, they got change. They got a different vision of hope and change under President Obama. They gave him a shot. It didn't work, but a lot of young people were searching for something. President Obama was the alternative. And I think a lot of people learned from that. But no, I don't think that my experience is extraordinary. What do Americans want? We want to be able to have safe streets. We want to be able to have the American dream that you can go from the doghouse to visiting with President Trump last year at the White House. That's the American dream. You want to be able to raise your family and make sure that they have a good education and they can have the same setup that you had. That's what everyone wants. I'm not an anomaly. But I think even with illegal immigration, whether you're 4, 14, 40, or in your 80s, everyone wants to make sure that America is going to continue with the same values that we were gifted. And that means that strong nations have strong borders.
You know, so many people have ideas like the idea you had to start something, but it's not enough to just have an idea. You have to actually go into it and act. Do you remember what your first month was like?
It was horrible. It was, well, let me revisit for a second. So I started by volunteering. So a lot of people who are watching this right now, they're going to think to themselves, okay, but what did you do? What did you first do to say, how am I going to begin? 2013, Ken Cuccinelli was running for governor in Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia. Spoiler alert, we lost that election because the Libertarian came in. Anyway, I stepped into my Republican headquarters in Fairfax and I said, I'm here. I want to help. I want to do something. Put me to work. And I started knocking and I fell in love with it. And I went, okay, this is my purpose. This is my passion. I enjoy doing this. I'm helping my country. This is what I want to continue doing. And so anyone that wants to get started, visit PragerU to learn more about what your passion is. Get active with your local party or even who your local state representative, state senator is to pass good legislation. But it starts with a willingness and desire. And then you have to go to your first meeting or step into that first office. But when I first moved to Texas, we had to get 250 signups per week. So here I am, a new guy moving to Texas, a state that I didn't know anybody. And I had to get my 250 while moving into my apartment, not knowing anyone. But I did it. And part of it, and I think why people humbly respect the work that I do, is I show up. I go to everything and I meet people where they are.
I think the reason why some people respect the work that you do, including myself, is you remind me a lot of Charlie Kirk, because Charlie Kirk saw that there were issues in America, especially with young men. And rather than really inflate the narrative of fear and conspiracy and despair, he actually stepped into action and used his talents to figure out one step at a time how to actually do good. He was very focused on doing good and to be helpful rather than complain. And so many people out there who are watching this, they may have children, they may know someone, they know young men who are feeling despair and angry. And I understand why they're feeling despair and angry, these young men, because as an educator, I've seen this in the classroom. We've told young men that they should speak last because they're not a victim. They need to let the victim speak first. And ultimately, we turned our young American men into victims because, the toxic masculinity narrative, plus you add how hard it is for young men to get jobs. We've told these young men that they're victims and we've treated them terribly. And so you have people like Charlie Kirk and you who I'm sure feel some sort of rage And what do you do with this rage? Do you do something positive with it? Or do you do something negative with it? Does it build you or does it take you down? You remind me of Charlie because while you were frustrated, you use the frustration to build. That takes a lot of courage.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to discuss briefly what you're hearkening to is that building aspect. So many Americans, when they see something wrong in society, they'll just discuss it. They'll just talk about it. Anyone can do that. Anyone with a cell phone can pick it up and use X to talk about an issue. And I want to reflect upon Baltimore for a second. So part of the reason why some people know me is because of the Baltimore cleanup. And I want to remind people that President Trump kind of used some harsh words talking about the city of Baltimore back in 2019. I'm not going to repeat those words. But the moral of the story is that the city needed love and attention, and that there was trash in the streets, and that the city was not getting the attention it deserved even from its Democratic leadership. And when I was watching social media and everybody was posting about the garbage and showing on full display the decay of inner cities, I felt very reminiscent to 2012 of how I felt when President Obama got reelected. I went, okay, this is bad. I see what's happening is bad, but what am I going to do to be the solution? And so I posted on social media and said, I'm going to Baltimore and I'm going to go pick up trash. I don't care if it's me, my mom and dad on a street corner. We're going to go make a difference. And the tweet at the time, when it was Twitter, went viral.
Yeah, I remember.
And everybody across the country was like, Scott, I want to come pick up trash, which is so interesting to make picking up trash fun. And within 7 days, we organized 200 volunteers on a Monday, not a Saturday, not a weekend. And we picked up 12 tons of trash in 12 hours in one single day in the most dangerous streets of America. No, we didn't stop there. After that, I really introspectively was like, wait a sec, I don't need the government's permission to have authority and to act. And why can't I do this everywhere? I don't need the government with all of its power and millions and might to continue to neglect cities. I can use my ability to take action. And so we've done cleanups in Atlanta, Austin, Baltimore, Chicago, Denver, Decatur, Detroit, Houston, Kenosha, Los Angeles, Miami, Milwaukee, Nashville, Portland, Pittsburgh, Philly, Salem, and I was even protested on the streets of San Francisco, California for daring to pick up trash.
Wow.
And so I think the moral of the story is we need more people to understand the power of one and the power of I can, and most importantly, the power of I will. And I think that's the story.
Yeah, it's a super powerful message. Where do you think you get your values from?
I wouldn't be here without my mom and dad. Gosh, what I love about my parents is they have true love. My dad, I lovingly make fun of him because he still calls my mom his bride. They've been married, I think, for 44 years. Don't hurt me, mom and dad, if I got that wrong. And I mean, they love each other. I've never seen my parents inebriated. They're good to me. They're family oriented. We try to keep all the family together. My dad's a Navy captain. My mom is a loving military spouse. They gave me the American dream that they wanted for their family. So now I owe a lot of my values to my parents.
Yeah. I wish more Americans had good families. It's definitely a need of ours. So for those who haven't followed you closely, I think some associate you with a person who walks around with a sandwich or a water bottle, starting to talk to Americans who may or may not vote. I know you show up at gun shows and start talking to people. I often think about the stories of people that I know who feel incredibly passionate about all kinds of political issues, and they'll go post on X, and then I'll ask them, are you registered to vote? Are you aware of Prop 50 in California? They don't even know what Prop 50 in California is about. And so I think you picked up on it. You picked up that people are all steamed up about political issues, but they don't take any action. So describe to me what your daily looks like.
Well, I mean, it goes from going to a PragerU gala at Mar-a-Lago, thank you, to filming with your organization today, to going to the Wayne County, Pennsylvania Christmas party as a thank you celebration. And I'm going to meet with the Grassroots and thank them for their work and make sure they're signing up for mail-in ballots. And then I'm going to AmFest to speak. And then at the beginning of the year, you're going to see me at the Green Dragon Farmers Market and the Great American Outdoor Show, which is one of the largest hunter shows in the nation. By the way, 30% of Pennsylvania hunters are not registered to vote. The moral of the story is I meet people where they are. And whether it's from Mar-a-Lago to a Walmart, I'm not afraid to meet the people, to shut my trap, to open my ears, to listen to what they want, to get them registered, and ultimately to try to find candidates that are going to meet their values so we can send those people into Congress and hopefully win in 2026.
So if there are people who are listening to this and they want to do what you do and they're inspired by you, describe to me a little bit what you do. So you're at a farmer's market. How do you get a person at the farmer's market to then register to vote?
Let me share one of my most favorite stories. I love this one. Okay, so Lancaster is where we have our beautiful Amish in Pennsylvania. And like I just mentioned, the Green Dragon Farmers Market. So every Friday is Green Dragon. And we go out there and we set up a voter registration table. Now, while this is a red area, we still want to make sure that we are getting I mean, look, I'm here to elect conservatives in office. I'm not going to baloney people. So we have several different things that harken to either President Trump, or we have a beautiful whiteboard that says something like, should biological men not be able to beat up women in sports? Or should we have voter ID? Something harkening to election integrity. And so depending on what the question is, if it's keeping biological men out, then it will be the Sharpie will be in red and then the no will be in blue. So as soon as they pick up a red pen, I know they're putting yes, which is the conservative answer, keeping men out of women's sports. And then I get my voter registration form immediately because I know that's a conservative based on what they're saying to the question. And I want to get those people based on ideology and principle to then register to vote and then say, hey, are you voting in the 2026 governor election? Shapiro is up for election. He does not want to keep men out of women's sports, and you do. So therefore, we need to vote good people in and get him out. And so I try to discern and delineate, then I register. But my favorite story is this one. So I'm out there at the farmer's market and this guy's walking by and he's got dad energy. I'm pretty good at reading people, pretty good. And I'm like, this is a dad. I can just feel it.
I love dad energy.
And he's just your typical white, probably 35 to 40-year-old, beard, toxic masculinity. Ladies, there's nothing wrong with that. Go to a gun show. You will love it. Go to Home Depot.
It's a great place to meet someone, a gun show, right?
And he comes over and I say, are you registered to vote? And he goes, no, I'm not. So immediately I'm like a piranha going after my prey. And I just switch into, please, like, I don't know if you have a kid, but look what they're pushing in our schools. Look, we just elected Donald J. Trump as our president. And it's good people like you that need to be a part of the equation. And I really need you to register. Look, I'll fill it out for you. Get out your ID.
Are you allowed to do that?
Yes. Okay. So here's the thing. We have to make life easy for people. If I make it hard and if I have obstacles, people aren't going to do it. So he pulled out his ID and I'm starting to sign him up. But here's where the story gets good. But in the background, a very pregnant woman walks out of the bathroom, comes over, and she says, I can't believe you're finally registering to vote. So here, me meeting a voter, having a good understanding of reading people, doing this for a decade, having a message that I was able to articulate quickly to a voter, pinpointing what was important to him, i.e. his future child coming into the world. I got a +1 new conservative voter in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for being at the right place at the right time and prepared. That's the work that we do.
How common is it that you find people who are incredibly passionate about the issues, but are not registered to vote?
all the time. All the time. I had a woman who goes, I'm in Washington County, Pennsylvania, Southwest Pennsylvania, other side of the state. I'm knocking on her door and she comes to the door and I'm like, how do are you ready to vote for Donald Trump? And she's like, I love Donald Trump. And I was like, are you registered to vote? No, I'm not. And I didn't vote for him because I knew he was going to win the election. That's like, it's like a dagger in my heart when I hear that. But I said, please, you go in your house, you get your ID. I'm going to register you to vote right now. And we did. But really, I don't think people understand. They just think that you can post something on X or social media and that people are going to act. No. If Republicans or conservatives are going to learn anything about keeping this movement alive and making sure that we're actually winning issues, we must be on the ground 24/7, 365. There are no breaks. As soon as the 2024 election was over, we didn't stop. We rehired 25 staff. They're on the ground right now through holiday, through Christmas, through everything. Like there is no stopping. The Democrats don't.
They never stop. You know, what is so amazing is that we worked so hard for equal rights to vote. We worked so hard and now you have the right to vote and you're not even voting. You're just throwing it all away. It's what's amazing to me. You talk about, we just passed some special elections. Some of them did not go very well for conservatives, and Tennessee did bode well for conservatives. So you got one. Like, can you talk about what you think happened?
Well, I think it's important what you just said for a second. You said, what do voters want? And that's part of it. We can't just be an alternative party. We can't just be Democrats bad.
Yeah.
That's what Democrats are. Orange man bad. Donald Trump awful. How is that a vision? How is that a movement? How is that
it's only rage
pillars
it's only rage and anger. It's only rage and anger.
That's
which
it. And what is that?
Things.
Where does that lead you? We have to be for something and we have to do right by the American people and we have to give them what they want. If we don't provide the American people what they were promised, they will not vote. And then it is our fault and not theirs. So I'm going to be very clear. I'm not blaming the American people on this. We have everything. We have the White House. We have the House. We have the Senate. It is up to us at this moment to act upon the American people. And if we don't, if we're not able to pass things, we're going to lose in 2026. So I hope Senator Thune is listening. I hope he watches this interview. And quite frankly, I mean, I'm going to go there. I hope he nukes the filibuster and then they actually pass legislation, because right now we need 60 votes in the Senate. Unless we get those 60, how are we going to pass legislation? Then they take the House, the Democrats, and then they're going to impeach him, etc. But I also think we need to set realistic expectations and understand it's only been a year since Donald Trump was elected. And therefore, things take time with economic recovery after the Joe Biden debacle of an administration. The border is secure. Now we have almost zero border crossings. ICE is arresting and deporting criminal illegal aliens. The American people voted for Donald Trump because they wanted no new wars. And I think those are all good things. But I think the American people still expect and demand more. And ultimately, when it comes to giving people what they want, that's why I'm working tirelessly on what I call the left coast. I'm coming to California to help collect signatures to get voter ID on the ballot for 2026. I need people's help. I'm going back to Washington to collect signatures to require proof of citizenship in order to register to vote in Washington state. I'm going to Oregon to help end automatic vote by mail. And Nevada has the second round of voter ID, which, by the way, passed by 72% in the 2024 election. And even Las Vegas, Nevada, Clark County voted for voter ID. So if Congress isn't going to give people what they want, I'm not going to focus on what I can't control. I'm going to focus on what I can control, which is traveling to states and working on election integrity to empower the American people to feel that their votes count and their votes matter. And that, I believe, is the ticket to 2026 and ultimately the ticket to 2028.
So Scott, you know, I live in California. We run PragerU out of California, the belly of the beast. And California, by the way, is massive, right? And so the whole nation is impacted by California. And I know everybody's paying attention. We have so many Republicans who are running for governor.
Yes.
And I am wondering the consequence of that. As you're looking into California from the outside, what is your instinct about could California even become normal again?
Well, it comes back to I'm coming to Cali to help get voter ID on the ballot to get them confidence. But what makes California special when you look at its elections? They have what's called, as you very well know, jungle primaries. Here's my fear. While Governor Newsom has pockets of support around the state, mostly in the blue areas like LA, could there be an opportunity for a Republican governor to be elected there? Well, history says yes. My fear is if there are so many Republicans or conservatives running for governor, the way that jungle primaries work in the state is the top two vote getters go on from the primary to the general election. What does that mean? Could it be two Democrats that are the top two vote getters? Yes. And therefore, you're landlocked as a conservative, and there's going to be a D in the state no matter what. So if too many conservatives are running, I really argue for there to be cohesion and for conservatives to coalesce behind one candidate as opposed to splitting the vote. And I'll be honest with you, when Donald Trump was impeached by the Democrats in 2020, one of those people is David Valadao, a Republican congressman in California. We worked tirelessly to oust Liz Cheney. That felt really good. To get rid of Kinzinger and a lot of other Republicans. Do you know why I didn't touch Valadao? It's only one reason why. Because of the jungle primary. And I didn't, even though he voted to impeach the president, it was more important that Republicans keep control of the House of Representatives. And I didn't want to hurt our ability to legislate. So it's really important, these kind of videos explain to the American people the nuances in the election systems going across the 50 states because they're all different. So California, I really hope that the voters coalesce behind one candidate in the jungle primary in 2026 to stop the landlocking of two Democrats going into the November general election.
Do you think there's a date by when Republicans just need to figure out who they want to get behind? Or it just feels a little early maybe now.
I think we should, quite frankly, I know some people might be vehemently opposed to this. I like a good loyalty pledge. I want a loyalty pledge that says, A, I'm going to support whoever the Republican candidate is because any Republican is better than the best Democrat. And number two is I think they should have a date and they go based on a series of polls based on finance, because let's be real, you're not becoming California governor unless you can raise 25 to 50 million. Let's just be real. In a huge, vast state that you have to get all those voters. Unless you can reach these marks, these requirements by this date, let's have a loyalty pledge. Let's all get behind that one conservative, knowing that it's better to defeat Governor Newsom or replace him with a conservative than to allow Katie Porter to become the next governor of California. Bless her heart. She's trying her best.
Well, I'm not advocating for either way, but these are your opinions and I appreciate learning from you. So thank you.
Thank you. So I encourage anyone right now, right this very second, after you're done watching this or pause it, look up the Illinois congressional map. Like do it like right now. You're going to find the most gerrymandered congressional map in probably the United States. So when the Democrats are like, oh, Republicans are gerrymandering, bro, you've been doing this for decades. It's just conservatives that haven't been smart in playing the game.
Explain what it is, by the way, because the audience might not know what gerrymandering means.
So basically what this means is, you know how the beautiful Elon Musk has been posting about there are states like Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, basically any blue state. Republicans will get 40% of the vote, 45% of the vote. But in a state like Massachusetts, look at their congressional representation. 0% of Republicans, zero, in a state that at least gets 30+% of the vote, has 0 members of Congress in states like Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, etc. And so therefore, gerrymandering is when you draw maps strategically in order to benefit your political party so that your opposition party does not reflect the true representation of that state, of that district, etc. So basically, the Democrats are trying to rig these congressional maps, i.e. things like census and at the state level, in order to have control of Congress at the House level. And now that Republicans are playing the game and fighting back, which I cheer on, go Florida, go Ohio. Governor Newsom and Democrats are just mad that Republicans are fighting fire with a flamethrower. And that's what we need to do better on.
You meet people everywhere. What do people care about actually? Not the people who are knee deep into politics and are keyboard warriors, but what are the real American families? What do they actually care about? Are they happy with Donald Trump, or do they have buyer's remorse?
I think your true, I don't want to say true blue, true red people, yeah, they're happy with Donald Trump. And however, illegal immigration, like I've been talking about, is an important issue. Yes, it's the economy. Yes, people are hurting. Yes, working class America is having a difficult time. I mean, I talk to these people like New Jersey. I don't get, you were talking about the elections that just happened in 2025. Spoiler alert, Virginia lost, New Jersey lost. We even lost in Pennsylvania, despite more Republicans voting in this last year than they did in previous elections. I want to make it clear, we did our job. We got out the vote. Democrats just got out more votes, and the shutdown also didn't help. The government shutdown, which was used as a partisan tool to hurt Donald Trump at the Republican Party, did its job in helping the Democrats.
Isn't that interesting that the shutdown ended right after the elections?
Right?
Just
Miraculously. And so the American people are still hurting economically. They're hurting financially. And in states like Jersey, I don't understand how they voted for Mikey Sherrill when Trenton Democrats have been in control for 25 years and they have one of the highest property taxes in the whole country, and they just voted for those same property taxes. So something that is not jiving there, because it's, I just don't understand how you have the two juxtaposing ideals of the economy is hurting, but then you're going to vote for the property taxes, unless the rage of Donald Trump is just more than that economic recovery. Illegal immigration. They want the deportation of criminal illegal aliens. They want an economy that works for working class America, and they want America first. They don't want no new wars. They want all of the investment to be here in the 50 states.
Mm-hmm. There are a couple of things that you said as we've been talking that really inspired me. One is we have to run towards something. We have to believe in something. We can't just have a message of anger and despair. We're not just the anti-Biden party. We're for something, right? And the other thing is we can't just sit in despair. We have to do something. We have to take action and not take our rage and turn it into just more rage and more frustration. So for people who are listening, especially young men, you know, there's this term disaffected young men because they're disaffected for the reasons that we talked about. What can they do today, and what can we do today to make sure that they're not, in fact, disaffected, because they still live in the greatest country in the world. They still have, in America, you still have more opportunity than almost anywhere, probably anywhere around planet Earth. And so the message is not that this is a terrible place to live. Obviously, everybody wants to come here. We're talking about all the illegal immigrants and the legal immigrants who want to come here. We are still so unbelievably lucky to be raising our kids in the United States of America, to be living in the United States of America. But young men are not hearing this message because they're upset, and I understand. What can we tell them, and what can we do for them so that they don't feel despair? Because they shouldn't.
Yeah. We need to do a better job of, I don't want to just say investing in young men, because of course we believe in meritocracy. We're going to choose the qualified candidate for a job, but making sure that everyone is given an opportunity and a seat at the table, is even those people that are qualified. that, we're not just going to go into the Biden DEI hire. If they're the right person for the right job, invest. If it's that young man, you choose that young American man. And I think we need to elevate those voices too and do a better job of listening to them. They feel unheard, right? They're angry because they feel no one is paying attention to them. And in fact, that's the number one thing that I find as I travel the country is when I said, shut my trap and listen. Even Democrats that don't like me end up respecting me because I listen and I hear them out. And some people just want to vent. Mm-hmm. No one else is talking to them, right? Their family doesn't want to hear it. They don't want to talk politics. Their kids don't want to talk about it. They want somebody to listen to. So we can do a better job of listening, investing, elevating.
There seems to be a growing wedge politically between young men and young women in America. Men are becoming more right-wing. Women are becoming more left-wing. There seems to be a sense that more men may want to have families. More women may not want to have families. So there's this NBC News poll that actually showed that while men are prioritizing wanting to get married, wanting to have kids, women, mostly the ones who've gone to college, of course, are prioritizing a career, and getting married and having children is low on their priority scale, which is very telling about what's happening in America right now. Is that one of the possible reasons why young men are feeling disaffected?
Absolutely. Without a doubt. When I talk to young men, because everyone's a focus group, I want to get inside their head. What do they want? And truly, young men are like, no, I want to settle down. I want a family, but they have a difficult time finding a young female partner that shares their values. What do you do? What do you do when you go on Tinder and not that there's anything wrong with it on its face, but you go to a Tinder profile and it says BLM, she, her, it, they, whatever they have as their pronouns. And it's clearly everything on their profile is designed to show the person viewing the profile that they are of left ideology. And if your options are only skewed one way and you feel like there aren't a lot of options, what does that do? It's no different than the economy and things being difficult. I think it produces the same effect with young men as they would in an economic shortage. I think we're having a shortage of young, available females of conservative ideology. And I think it's causing strain on not only humans' need for a relationship with their other, but also it's causing a strain on how young men view young women.
Yeah. And then I think that when we have a society that is not building families, then we have a society with a strain, because ultimately humans need meaning, and family is the most meaningful thing that you can give a young man. And so this political divide that has now made it into even American romance, which there should be romance, this political divide is really problematic. It just is, it's in everything, politics now. It's in sports and maybe somewhat it's our fault in some ways because we are reminding everybody how important it is to get involved in politics. But it also seems like in some ways people have adopted their identity around politics and really struggle. Now, I don't think that I would be able to marry somebody who doesn't share my values. I don't think it would last. But the extremism that we are seeing, in our country is worrisome because it's tearing us apart, Scott. It's tearing us apart. The fact that young people are not getting married and actually focusing on what matters most, on what's going to make young men feel less disaffected is actually having a family and having something to go home to every night.
Well, it's certainly part of it. But again, it comes back to the economy as well. That young man, the 28-year-old electrical engineer that couldn't find a job. Because I always ask people, joke in jest, we discussed earlier how, I'm kind of like a little bit of a matchmaker, and I'm always telling people jokingly to go procreate and make lots of beautiful Republicans. And, and so the young man, I was like, so any kids? And like very quickly, without hesitation, like, no.
Why?
How is he going to afford to have a kid as a young guy without a job right now? If we make the economic renaissance that America needs, then everything else, I think, will help fall into place. Mm. And then once again, maybe some people won't be as career focused, and maybe one of those parents will have more time to actually be able to have more time at home, have children. The breadwinner can go make sure that they have that finance that they need. But truly, I think part of it certainly is the economic aspect of it as well.
So Scott, I want to talk about judges getting elected. It is.
We just lost in Pennsylvania.
Well, I know I don't mean to depress you, but it's a big deal. And I'm not sure that people are aware of how important it is to pay attention to the judges that are being elected in our districts. And just to zoom out for a minute, I did a full episode about Brazil and what has happened to that country, because basically the judges and the chief justice runs the country and you cannot even vote him out. Now we're starting to see the left, the Marxists, using the same tactic of using justices and judges to control our own districts in our country. And people just pay attention to the presidential elections. And so they sneak in the judges. And what happened in Pennsylvania is so jarring to me, that the fact that the rest of the country is not speaking about what happened with Prop 50 in California, which is not about the judges, but it's the gerrymandering, which you explained. But why are we not speaking more about the justices and what could happen if judges run America?
I would like to say Early Vote Action did talk about the judges in 2025. So briefly talking about that and then going back to your point. We had 3 Democrat Supreme Court justices up for election in 2025. These people, I choose my words wisely, rigged the 2020 election, allowed for mail-in ballots to come 3 days after Election Day, allowed for COVID lockdowns of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, shutting down churches and businesses and schools. We're here in West Palm Beach. It didn't happen in Florida. Elections matter. Elections have consequences. Yet, the people of Pennsylvania just retained all 3 of these horrible judges in a Commonwealth that just voted duly to elect Donald Trump and a Republican senator. Where were my people? Now, granted, more came out than the 2023 and 2021 election. But where were my people? Where was the rage and anger from these justices shutting us down during COVID and locking us down?
I just think people don't know. They don't understand the significance of these judges.
And we try, we spoke about it for a year and made a really compelling message. I don't know how else to explain to the American people the power of the judiciary. Look at SCOTUS. Landmark decisions coming down from SCOTUS. And then you have rogue judges. That one judge in one district in one state speaks for the entire nation, talking about immigration, etc. And I don't know where we go from here other than just trying to empower the people to understand that their vote does make a difference. But they have to believe in the system. They won't get involved unless they believe that they actually matter. So ultimately, if our goal is to get more voters to come out to care about judicial things, because we look at Brazil and other countries, we must first start at the root and go, why are they not coming out, or why are they not giving importance to this? And so bring it back to, that's why we're focusing on things like election integrity. The reason why Prop 50 passed in California is because the people don't have confidence in our system. So to our beautiful people in California, please, I'm going to give a shout out. Carl DeMaio, representative in California. He's working to collect signatures to get voter ID on the ballot. I think they're already at 800,000 signatures. They need 1 million. Please help Carl DeMaio. But if we restore people's confidence, more people will come out for those important judicial elections. And so the theme, I think, of what we're getting to of all of these problems is discussing what is the root, and then ultimately, how do we act upon it?
So people are telling you that it's just not worth their time to go out and vote because they just don't have voter.
They don't believe.
Is that the bottom line?
They don't
They're
believe.
like, it's not just not worth. Yes, we fought for voter rights. We fought for it, but you know what? We just realized it's not worth our time because the whole system is corrupt and rigged. Is that basically what the American people are telling you?
In places like Washington, Oregon, California, yeah, and even in Pennsylvania. Think about it for a second. What happened in 2020? Do you know how hard it was to get people to vote in the 2024 election? How hard it was when I'm out in 100-degree weather, sweating my behind off, working, pounding the pavement, and people just say, it's rigged. I'm not going to vote. Scott, they're just going to steal it. Scott, my vote doesn't count. Scott, if I register, it doesn't matter. I hit that wall every single day. But I just keep pounding and I just keep going.
And you proved them wrong. I mean, you proved them that in Pennsylvania, you proved them wrong, right?
The American people proved them wrong. And that's my message going forward. Our problem is no longer, can we win? We won. We did it. We won everything. We won Arizona, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Nevada. We won every single swing state. And I want to say it because this will trigger the liberals. Yes, we won the popular vote. I just got to say that.
Yeah.
And they democracy. We won democracy.
Yeah.
And so now we won. The problem no longer is can we win? The problem is can we get all of our coalitions to come out in every single election? And that is the test of 2026.
Yeah, including the special ones and the midterms and not just the presidential ones.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which brings it to, if I may, I mean, if you really want to dive into this, I think we should, the divisive, the divisive conversation of election day versus early voting.
What do you think?
I want to make my pitch. Okay, let me make my pitch. So again, we started the organization because learning from history. If there's anything I've learned about PragerU, it's about learning from history so we don't make the same mistakes of the past, right?
I can't wait to see if we agree or disagree on early votes or not early votes. Let's see.
So, learning from 2022. Republicans, beautiful Republicans, a lot of them waited to vote on election day. What happened in Maricopa County on election day? 60% of machines had errors on election day. When do Republicans vote? That day. In Nevada, we lost an election by 8,000 votes, and it snowed in Washoe County in Reno on election day. Democrats, they already voted by mail. They already voted early. They already ballot harvested, but we wait to vote for 12 hours in one single day. And I listen to my people. They go, Scott, I want one day, one vote, one paper ballot. I respect that. That's good on paper. In Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, when John Fetterman was elected as senator, they ran out of paper on what day? Election day. And so if I'm a Democrat strategist and I want to cause mischief, if I want to cause scandal, knowing Republicans and knowing that they're going to only vote on one day, I only have to cause mischief for 12 hours and I can steal a presidential election.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree. You gotta make the path of least resistance. That's it. You want to win? It's the path of least resistance. Make it easy for our people to get involved. And by the way, it's the same thing with the teachers. If you want teachers to do the right thing, create that path of least resistance so they actually teach what parents want them to teach. Provide them with the lesson plans, provide them with proper clean materials and curriculum. That's what we do here at PragerU. Make it easy. You know, Scott, when we started PragerU about 15 years ago, we would make this educational content. And people would say, what? Marissa, how could you use TV and internet to teach people stuff. They should be reading books. And of course they should be reading books. But I also say people are very busy and they're overwhelmed. And many families have both working parents if they have two parents and they're lucky enough. We have to create the path of least resistance to do the right thing and to do good. And sometimes that means getting really uncomfortable. Sometimes it means giving the television or an iPad with really good PragerU content on it for your child. And sometimes it means allowing people to do an early vote so that we can actually vote for good.
But here's what I'm hearing you say. What you're also saying is you have an understanding of your audience. That's what I'm hearing. And so taking that and fleshing it out with early voting, let's dive into that for a second. Why would I, especially understanding my audience of conservatives, push early voting? Let's be real. There has been a change. The opposition are now the elites, the upper echelon of society, and working class America are now conservatives. So let's dig in. Utility, construction workers, pilots, healthcare, police officers, firefighters, teachers, union workers, moms, dads, all those people, those are more likely people to be pulled away in an emergency situation on election day. Why do I want to limit the ability of a pilot trying to vote against Prop 50 in California, but they're waiting to vote on election day and, they got a snowstorm in Pennsylvania, flight delayed, you lost a vote, you can't vote. Why am I going to make it harder for working class America who's busy serving the American people to vote? I know my audience. And I want to make life easy and I want to give them more opportunities to vote, not fewer opportunities. And then furthermore, just because I want to be very clear, you will never be able to have true election integrity unless you win. So the final message is play the game, fight fire with a flamethrower and ballot harvest and do everything you have to do to win. And then once you win, then and only then can you provide for election integrity legislation. But you will never get here to your goal of election integrity unless you start here with fighting fire with a flamethrower.
So now that Republicans won, do you think that they're doing enough to clean up election integrity? I mean, we have 4 years to clean up. Are we doing what we need to be doing?
They passed the SAVE Act in the House. The House did their job, but are we going to get 60 votes in the Senate? I'll say it again. Nuke the gosh darn filibuster, do a roulette, pass the SAVE Act, provide for election integrity, require and mandate voter ID, proof of citizenship in all 50 states, try to secure the 2026 election. And I want to make it clear, that's not red or blue. It's making sure that one vote means one legal American citizen vote. And we're not going to dilute any American votes by allowing illegal or unlawful votes to be counted. It's not red or blue. That's American. And if they were serious, then Senator Thune would bring it up for a vote and let the American people see who's for nuking the filibuster and who's not. But right now, as it stands, that's why I, in my position, am using my platform to go to Cali, Washington, Oregon, and Nevada to help with their election integrity measures that if Congress won't act, we have the power to act at the state level. And I want everyone at home to realize that they, the American people, you can provide for election integrity. So help me collect signatures.
How can people help you also manage your business? I know you don't take a salary, but you have to pay your own employees, right?
Yes.
And you're not a non-for-profit because you're a PAC.
Yes.
So if people want to help you and support you, what can they do?
Thank you. Well, we're earlyvoteaction.com. That's our website. That's my organization. And correct, I want to make it clear, I don't take a penny. And I do that because I want people to know I can't be bought. I can't be sold. I can't be traded. I'm not a crypto. But all of our donations go to our employees that we have boots on the ground. And we don't advertise and we don't even have anything on television. It's all literally boots on the ground, meeting people where they are. And so earlyvoteaction.com. And we do accept Bitcoin. So if anybody wants to provide any Satoshi to us, we do accept that. But honestly, we're a bare bones organization, and we want to make our mark in the 2026 election, focusing continually on Pennsylvania, and we're going to expand into Nevada.
All right. Well, Scott, thank you for everything you do. And for those who want to stay up to speed with all the little details, there are a lot of details, even for me to remember. They can follow you on X,
Yes.
where you post your recommendations and where action is needed.
Yes, my X is at Scott Presler, SCOTTPRES1SLER. And my direct messages are open. And if you ever get a comment, it's only me. Nobody touches my social media except me.
I don't know when you sleep, but it was great getting to know you, and I'll keep following you. Thanks for everything you do for our great nation.
My pleasure. Thank you.